Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Monday in the Riv. And hey, what's up, Dean? How you doing? Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. I guess there's a school committee meeting tonight.
Yes, there is.
Could be very interesting. I think. Let's see what happens. I think we have to. What will be going on with these investigations, and also the. I want to see how these people respond to the dictatorial nature of Paul Coogan and the way he runs the meeting. Let's see if they demand answers like they're supposed to demand and demand compliance with the law.
We'll
That's
see.
We will see. And you know uh, what we saw and we read on Friday's show is pretty serious. Those allegations were pretty serious. I mean, we're talking about criminal acts not only being covered up, but basically being just dismissed and enabled. They,
Right?
the, you know,
Right?
no disciplinary action at all. The only action that was taken was to facilitate the person to try to pay back the money, and let's just all forget it and put it behind us. Um, I think
Isn't
that
it always the way?
yeah, let's make it let's make it go away. And this is crazy. Uh, I mean, you can't. The government, on all levels, is out of control. We have to take back. We have to fundamentally take back the government. And I really was looking over the weekend flush. You guys got to read that weekend flush today. It's ironic. It's kind of like scary. Great minds think alike, or whatever. Funny you picked that quote because we do not consult each other on the quotes.
No, we
Uh,
do not.
uh, but I think it's pretty good that this is the opening quote of the weekend. Read it. It's as usual. It's good. It's good. It's informative. It's about some of the subjects that we talk about. We have the We Suck at Radio, and now it will become We Suck even more at radio. Um, but I think there's all kinds of misinformation. They're buying it. They're not buying it. They're
Hi,
partners. They are
Jimmy.
going to buy it. I don't know. And somebody supposedly said, "Hey, Jimmy, what they're going to do?" But uh, then we got into the ridiculous idea of building a fire station just because we have a Duval corridor. That's almost as ridiculous as putting the $7 million for lights for lights that we were going to get for free. And therein lies the problem we have with this government. They never stop spending money. Uh,
$20
uh,
million for lights on the Braga Bridge, which don't
yeah, and
work.
I see it. And you said, yeah, and the lights. And Cliff wants to make a program for city councilors so they can propagandize their agenda again. I think that's exactly right. Exactly what you called it, the bullshit hour.
That's
And
right.
this is what they do. No, it's true,
I
CJ.
know.
It's true. It's going to be the bullshit hour. What is worse than this? And this is the opening quote. The English language has 112 words for deception, which is what politicians are great at. According to one count, with each with a different shade of meaning, and then he cites a few. Uh, Collusion, which they do all the time, fakery, malingering, self-deception, confabulation. I like that. It's one of my favorite words. Prevarication. We've used that one before. Exaggeration, denial. Robin Maratz Henning wrote that. And then the end quote, and they got two that actually segued into each other. And the closing quote was talked about the tag. Politicians are masters of the art of what word? Deception. And that's what they are. They are the masters of the art of deception. Just look at what they do all the time. And at Flush, you talked about looks like some alliances are being made, and
Yep.
that remains to be seen. But I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Uh, there will be tolls on that bridge, yeah. Uh, Listen, this is the country and the nation is out of control. We can't do a lot about sometimes state and federal things, but we can do something in Fall River. And I think that maybe this 2 years is going to be a wake up call, or a basically putting us in a position where it's either have a crap or get off the pot, because the government is, they're fundamentally taken over the government. Now they're getting radio shows, they're getting everything to propagandize their BS. Just look at what politicians have done. They have normalized, the Democrats have normalized violence. They're telling their people, go throw yourself in front of cars, run people over. And one of them actually said, and it's a quote, not my words, that we need to get somebody killed or bloodshed, and they did. Their brainwashing got that person to drive into an agent, and they're going to blame the agent. And
you know what's interesting about that? They're saying that the agent violated the law. Meanwhile, Tampon Tim passed a law in Minnesota.
That's right.
Which authorizes law enforcement to fire into a motor vehicle to stop it from hitting them.
That's right. And they don't even have to be near you, just be aiming at you. Yeah. Right. Well, but this, CJ, I'm glad you brought that point up. And you're right, Josh. They're out of control. You got liberals saying things like it's all for show. And I hate to say this, but the liberals are either operating out of self-interest, or they may be the stupidest human beings in the world. They always talk about democracy, but everything they do is undemocratic. What is a democracy based on? It's based on people having, the right to do things, and also a society's based on laws. We have a constitution. You have politicians, and you have people on the radio and TV. We have the mayor of Minneapolis saying, "Get the F out of here" to ICE. You have Tim Walz saying, "Get the F out of here." You have the DEI police chief in Chicago saying, "Get the F out of here." Well, guess what? They should all be removed from office for stupidity, because every single one of them put up their right hand and said, "I swear an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States." And they're supposed to at least have a fundamental ability to read the Constitution to be elected.
They can't even read their name.
And the Constitution has a supremacy clause for federal agents. The federal government trumps state government. The mayor of Minnesota had no right, zero right, to make that statement. And as a matter of fact, by making that statement, he showed he's an effing moron. Okay? He's an absolute moron. And so is Tim Walz, and so is that DEI police chief. They cannot tell a federal agent that's executing a federal warrant to get out of town. We have a country that's made up of borders. You don't like the fact that the United States has borders and you want it? No. Yeah. You want no borders and make the United States, disband the United States, because that's what these people are doing. And it's not the majority. That's the problem. They're a 20-80 position, but they're the loudest, and they make the most noise. And
the vocal minority.
I pulled this up. Let me remind them of something. We're a nation of laws. The Democrat judges have obstructed Trump all the time by making rulings that they had to go to court to fight. Did Trump once get out and say, "Go out and run those judges down, shoot them"? No, they should be removed from the bench because they're not doing their job. But you know what the Democrats say? Go get the F out of here. They got every right to do that. No, they don't. They don't have a right to do that. They're supposed to be lawmakers. They make laws. You obey the laws in this country. And I'm going to go back to Martin Luther King Good evening, Fatima. And I'm going to read what Martin Luther King said about this. He said, one who breaks an unjust law must do so openly, lovingly, and with a willingness to accept the penalty. He also went on to say that we have a moral duty to disobey. Do we have a moral duty to obey just laws and a moral duty but he said go to jail. He didn't say run them over. He didn't say throw your body in front of him. He said let yourself get arrested. Go to jail to protest the war, protest the unjust law, to force these people to change it. If you know why the Democrats are talking the way they talk, get the F out of here. They won't throw them out because they can't, and they know it. They're friggin' liars. And the dummies that are Democrats listen to this bullshit. We don't want you here. That's political theater. They know there's nothing they can do about it. They should be aiding them. You want them out of there? Get your friggin' police department to help them. Turn them over in the courthouse. Don't make them chase them around on the streets. Get rid of them. Then once they get rid of them all, we won't have any they won't be there anymore. No, you're right, Michelle. I mean, they are nuts. They're beyond nuts. They truly are. They truly need, to be almost institutionalized. Yeah. And they got $1 million because they flagrantly disobeyed an order. When I grew up, and maybe we're dating ourselves, but if I ever came home and told my father that a cop gave me a chapada, and you know what that is, Fatima, or put his foot up my ass because I was doing something wrong and told me to get out of here, and I will admit freely, I was not the most well-behaved child when I was growing up. You know what I would have got when I got home? My father wouldn't have run to the police department and filed a lawsuit. He would have put his foot up my ass. That's what would have happened. If I would have came home from school and said that the teacher broke a pointer over my head, which they did many times, and across my back, I would have got another chapada. But this country has come unraveled. They don't obey laws. The Democrats are complaining about law and democracy, but they're telling their people to go out and disobey the law and get killed for political traction. That was the quote. We need this to be covered by the media. And if we can get a few people killed, we're going to have another George Floyd. And what was George Floyd? A convicted felon with fentanyl in his drug. He had COVID. He had a heart condition, and they made him into a martyr. This guy was a career criminal. This is what's destroying the country. You're right. No respect. Bring that up. You notice only in certain areas where you got real
has an extensive criminal record. Domestic violence, assault and battery on a police officer, interfering with the police officer in the performance of his duty, child abuse, interfering with medical treatment to a child. I mean, all kinds. Long history of it. Are the liberals talking about that? No, they're trying to hide it.
Oh. Hey, Linda. No, you're right. And this is what they do. They are not responsible or accountable for anything they do. Everybody else is. But
don't tell Cooley you support Trump because you're a Nazi. If you support Trump, you're a Nazi.
You're a Nazi.
According to the Forum of Public Schools.
Nice to know you, Nazi. We're all, and this is the key. And if you look at this, that's the irony of it, CJ. You and I, did a lot of reading on Hitler, and I read Mein Kampf, which was his book, and I read it, and we know what Goebbels and what Hitler said. Tell a big enough lie long enough, propagandize, make the people stupid, make them believe shit. And these people have been convinced that it is democracy to be undemocratic. Go out there and violate the laws. If we have a nation of low laws, it's anarchy. This isn't a nation. If we don't have any borders, this isn't a nation. But that's what they want. The Democrats are doing it. The politicians are doing this just to gain absolute power. And I'm going to tell you something, Democrats, the ones who are calling the radio stations saying, oh, they got every right to say, we don't want you here. No, you don't. They're federal agents. If they're doing a federal operation, it supersedes it. The Constitution has a clause that says that. They can't arrest people for speeding. If you got an ICE agent arresting somebody for speeding or for shoplifting, well, now you got him. Yeah, you're right. Charlie was a Nazi because he spoke. Charlie was a peaceful warrior. He debated everybody. You could go up to the mic and debate him. He invited you up to the mic. You disagree with me? Come up to the mic and we will discuss it.
That's right.
Bang. And a matter of fact, I think she might have been the one that went like this with the gun, pretending that I saw but this is what they do. It's like they are crazy because it's called inappropriate affect in psychology. All you guys that took psychology, people that took psychology, it's like when you laugh at a funeral because you're nervous. It's the wrong behavior. But the Democrats, the politicians are telling them, behave like mad people. Go out there and cause chaos. Be undemocratic. Kill people. Screw the law. Make yourself a martyr for us. And then when they take over, you know what's going to happen? Cuba, Venezuela, they're going to have and you're not going to do that shit anymore when they take over. Because when they take over, they'll have the National Guard. Everything they blame Trump on, they'll do it in spades. They will crush any kind of dissent once they get power, like they do in every communist country. And that's the problem. That, and they're all nuts. I mean, how dumb do you have to be? Especially when you look at a politician sit in front of a camera who swore an oath to the Constitution and not know that there's a supremacy clause in the Constitution. No, they know they don't have jurisdiction. Why doesn't that boy toy for the Somalians up in Minneapolis, why doesn't he take them to court then? Because he can't. Because he can't. There's a constitutional mandate that they have it. Yeah, and this is nuts. They can call and listen. They can call you not. I don't even call me a Nazi all you want. I don't give it. I don't care. Call me a Nazi, especially me. My father fought against the Nazis. My father fought in World War II. Was in a unit that was the second in the European theater of operation for time on the line in combat. My father fought the Nazis. He liberated the concentration camps. I donated pictures that he took in the concentration camps to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. You're going to call me a Nazi? Nobody knows more about the Nazis than I do. My father fought them, and his brother fought them, and my uncles fought them. And one of the other uncles went down into the Pacific and fought in the Pacific. My entire family on both sides, all were in the military except one male who had leukemia and couldn't go into the military. They all fought against the Nazis. You're going to call me a Nazi? I don't think so. You people are not. You're the people that are Nazis because you're crazy. I mean, this is nuts. And Gene's right. We're ultimately going to have a civil war, or we're not going to have a country. Because you can't reason with crazy. These people are crazy. I mean, you had one spit on an agent, and they're throwing bricks at people and saying they deserve to be killed. And they were chanting in New York City, kill it, get it right, kill an ICE or something. They're chanting to kill law enforcement agents. I mean, there's something radical, and the Democrats are inciting them. the Democrats that now, when they get in front of the mic, go, "Oh, you killed her. You killed her. Well, you killed her. Look at the video. He told her to stop. She didn't stop. And as you said, CJ, they passed. As a matter of fact, Tampon Tim gave them more rights. He could have shot her when she was 15 feet away, just looking at him in the car.
That's right.
Under Tim Walz's law,
Right.
in Minnesota, if a Minnesota cop would have done the same thing, the law was on his side, unless he shot a Somalian fraudster. Then they would have got him for racism because he shot a Somalian fraudster. And therein lies the problem. But this is crazy. And what's happening in the city of Fall River? They're doing the same thing. This state is as bad as Minneapolis. It's so democratic. We've got to do something. In your weekend flush, you talked about the veterans agent running against Allen, supposedly. I read that. And let's get somebody to run against them all, because they're not doing anything for us. I got my tax bill. I don't even want to talk about it. But now, this is a takeover. Now they're going to get the mainstream media, so they're going to control it. So we suck even more at radio will now become Radio Pravda. It already is fairly good, as much as Radio Pravda, but it's going to be more Radio Pravda, because it's going to be, let's give the city councilors time to light our asses off on the radio. Let's give them a show on how to bullshit the people of Fall River. So, I don't know. Yeah, and they were, again, as soon as Mondami got into commie, he lifted the prohibitions about demonstrating against Israel, and they were in the streets again chanting "Death to Israel." Pro-Hamas demonstrators supporting terrorists. This is the irony of the quote-unquote Democratic Party. They're always talking about democracy, and their entire strategy getting back in is to ignore laws and ignore. Listen, you get pulled over, you get pulled over. Listen, I've been pulled over. I mean, I remember one time coming back from the Cape. I was down at Plymouth. We had an MMA. I had a couple of guys fighting at the MMA matches down there, and we got they had to stop. It was a weekend. We were in a big long line. It took us forever. We got there I didn't want to be there. I could have. What was I going to do? Run the cop over, the statey over, or run the police over, and or give them a hard time because they're wasting my time? No, they were doing. And we got pulled over, and the guy looked at the car, and there was like 4 of us in there, and 2 of the guys that fought, and there were 3 or 4 cars actually in the group that went down there. And he looked in the window and said, "You guys been drinking?" "No." "Where you been?" "We've been at the MMA fights." "Okay, see you later." "Oh, yeah. Well, that's what you do. You get pulled over. A cop abuses you. You go to court. You file a lawsuit. This is what this country was supposedly based on. You don't run them down. But wait a minute. You do run them down. You do throw your body in front. The Democratic Party wants you to die for them, so they can get more political power. And then you're going to have morons calling the radio saying they got every right to tell you that they don't want those people in there. Bad law enforcement, good terrorist. Bad law enforcement, good terrorist. That's what they're telling you.
That's because you didn't steal enough money.
Crazy.
That's because you didn't steal enough money. Hey, Scott Donnelly, he watches the show regularly. He joined the Weekend Flush subscription base this week.
Okay.
And he sent me a message.
Okay.
A few moments ago, I got it. Sent it about 10 minutes before we went on the air. I know someone who called the government center and asked for Talos Ferris. The person answering the phone didn't even know who he was. When they connected them to the office, they were told he was out for the day and weren't sure when he would return. Then left a message. It's been 3 weeks going, and still haven't heard back from them with a response. It's interesting, Scott, because I called the office after my brother passed away because they had a military funeral. And I wanted to thank him for all his work and making it easy for my sister-in-law. And I left a message. That was back in April. Guess what? This is January of the following year, almost a year later. And I still haven't gotten a return phone call. But he wants to be your state representative. And he wants to throw Linda under the bus.
Then you'll never know. Then you'll never know where he is because he'll be in Boston. He could never show up. Nobody cares.
That's right. And that's the problem. He doesn't show up, but he still gets paid. Your tax dollars at work. And the reason I've been told that this whole shit show started between Talos and Linda was that Linda allegedly was calling him out for not being accredited. And Talos was saying, I'm certified.
That's not
certification and accreditation are two different things.
That's right.
And if he was accredited, why are we sending people out to have paperwork done that Talos should be doing? And from what I've been told, he was hired with the proviso that he get accredited.
And he didn't. Well,
but
listen.
Allegedly, he hasn't been accredited yet.
Well, listen. Remember, Fall River is a place that had an assistant superintendent of schools that didn't even have a bachelor's degree.
I know.
So, this is what happens in Fall River. There's never, if you're politically connected, you get the job. And I'm scrolling down on your weekend flush. But listen, Linda, now you know how we feel when we don't get the information. You got the report. You want to demand a report. Release the report, and we will cover it because this is what happens. We have a Nazi regime in this city. We are not allowed to get any information on anything. Rapes, fights. Last show, somebody talked about fist fights at Derby. You probably weren't watching a show a few years ago. We were showing videos taken by students of fights at public schools on a regular basis. We knew they were taking place. We had video evidence they were taking place. And what did the school committee and the school department and Paul Coogan do about it? Absolutely nothing. Now you got Cliff Ponte. Now the rumor is that he's going to ascend to the throne because Paul isn't going to finish his term. And then he wants to become mayor. Well, I hope he does a better job as the president of the council. And when he gets in, I'll remind him that he once was mayor already. And he didn't get elected when he ran in the open election. So if you think you're going to run the city the way it is, I think we'll see a big turnout. If Coogan steps down, if that allegation is correct, if he steps down and Cliffy takes over, and WSAR becomes the radio network of Fall River, we will, I think that he will have a difficult time being elected as mayor if somebody decent runs, and I think there will be people in the wings getting ready to run because this city is going the way of Minneapolis. We can't have politicians who speak out of both sides of their mouth. We want democracy. We're for you, but we're going to screw you on the taxes. We're for you.
Here's the interesting part about it. If the rumor mill is correct, and Paul steps down after 10 months in office, which would be October, okay? The charter requires that an election be held for a new mayor within 90 days So he's going to be mayor for 90 days?
CJ, I don't know. That was an allegation, and I agree with you. Because
Yes.
listen, but will it be the first time they've ignored the charter? No. Will it be the first time that Runaway Rumsey comes up with some legal interpretation, or they say, "Oh no, we're not going to do this because of this X,
Right.
Y, and Z"? They don't. They only use the law
When it benefits
what's
them.
their argument when it's on their side. When it's
Right.
not on their side, they just ignore it. You're right. You can't take over for more than half the term.
And I want to bring to your attention, which I don't have to because you remember this very vividly. We talked about it. We had a mayor
Yes.
who was removed from office. And we had an election. And a mayor was elected who served for 9 months. And the people didn't reelect him.
That's right.
And then when he ran a second time, he didn't even come close.
Yep.
So, guess what? Even if he did take the office for 90 days, number one, there's no guarantee he would be elected. And number two, there's no guarantee he'd be reelected.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, CJ. But you know what they're counting on? They're counting again on the voters' apathy, and they're going to have a low turnout. And like they always do, they manage to squeak in. There's always a theory. I mean, you and I have been in politics a long time. I mean, you're right. Even if they do say, okay, he's going to be the mayor for 90 days. That'll give him a leg up. He's an incumbent mayor. He can promise to do all these things. He can do this. He can do that. He fired Joe Camara's brother when he was a temporary mayor, an interim mayor, whatever the hell they call it. But he did this, he did that, he did that. But then people looked at him and said, nah, I don't know. And they didn't. And as you said, these guys don't get elected. But what they're saying is, I got it for 90 days. I'm an incumbent. I can make all these promises. I got a radio. I got a network now that push for me. I got all these connections that I've made. Now I'm for the people. Now I'm for the developers. I got the money behind me. Now I got tons of money. I'm going to get this time. And this is what the people have to stop. I don't care. I don't care how rich he is. I don't care how connected he is. If he's going to work for me, I'll vote for him. But if he's not going to work for me, if they continue to work for the developers, continue to rob my tax money and do zero for me, zero for the students of the city of Fall River, hire a Nazi, a real Nazi, somebody who called everybody else a Nazi, projection, and they're going to hire her in a school system illegally, by the way, and give her a pay raise. Well, hiring her, they can hire her. But that, if they give her a pay raise that was negotiated by the union, it is illegal. And I did send the school committeeman all the applicable laws. What they're doing would be illegal. Union cannot represent someone who is not in the bargaining unit. She's not an employee. You have to be an employee. You don't belong to the union can't represent you. Even if you're going to be there someday. Once you get in, then they can represent you. You can't use the union to bargain. As a matter of fact, unions can't even bargain disciplinary actions for the first during a probationary period. You can represent them on the contract. They get the pay raises. If there's a violation of the contract that affects them, even though they're a probationary firefighter, they file a grievance. You can take the grievance and go forward with it. But if the city decides to fire them during a probationary period, you don't have civil service protection. You don't have the civil service sections 41 through 45 protection of due process. They can just unilaterally fire you without giving any reason at all. We don't like you. See you later. But they ignore the laws, and they know the law. They just ignore the law. Just like when they tell their people, they don't care about anybody. It's a power. It's about power. Remember what Castro said. I mean, Castro was before most people's time, and even most people are still around now with babies when Castro had started the revolution in Cuba. But he made all kinds of promises like Mandami. Oh, free shit. Free shit. Elect me. Nobody's going to pay for anything. Nobody's going to do anything. So what did he do? He won the revolution. And what happened? He became one of the greatest dictators in the history of the world. He killed all kinds of killed all his enemies. People were starving in Cuba. They were coming over here on inner tubes, drowning, getting eaten by sharks to escape. Then he dumped out all his jails and sent them over. That's why they made that movie Scarface. So Pacino played one of those criminals that came over from Cuba. But this is what they do. These commies that talk about communism all the time, and the Democrats are commies. They want power. Once they get power, none of this stuff is going to happen. It's going to be very peaceful. You do what they tell you, or you're going to go to the gulag, or they're going to kill you. They're going to do what they tell their people to. Go out and die for us so we can get power. It's got nothing to do with a democracy. It's anti-democratic. A democracy, you live by the law. You know, you got a bitch, go to court. Sue them. You know how many lawsuits this city has lost already? Those people didn't try to run over the person they sued. The people who Malone abused, they're going to sue the city, and they get a settlement. But when the police abuse people, they file a lawsuit against the police, and they get a settlement. They win if they're correct, if they lose if they're not. That's the way it's supposed to be in an ordered society. Think about it. The Democrats are the people who are now telling their people to go out and say, die for us because we want the media attention. We don't give a shit about your life. We don't care. Just go out and get yourself killed, and we'll make you a martyr like George Floyd. And now this person. And, you know, it's too bad she got killed, but unfortunately, you try to run people down with your car, even regular people might be a little pissed off at you if you're trying to do that. And if they get their hands on you, they may do something to you. But that's the way it is. And we'll see what happens. And I believe the council meeting school committee meeting started now. It should be.
Yeah, right now the student representative is speaking.
Yeah, so let's see what happens. This is the first litmus test of the
new school committee.
Let's see what happens. They say we have some people there that have made some promises to be holding them accountable. Let's see what Manny does. And I know that Ann Riley has a very, very, very comprehensive background. She knows what accountability is. She's accountable. She's a superintendent, and a very good superintendent from all reports. So she understands what it does to be able to hold people accountable. And I hope her philosophy, and I'm sure her philosophy is that she wants performance, because the schools that she took over, even though she was recommended to take ours, and who does Coogan put in? The DEI, let's make a welcoming environment, not educate the children, a superintendent. But she went over and did a great job in Barrington. Now she's somewhere else, but she's doing a great job. And, you know, this is the problem. The Democrats are causing a lot of problems, but just think about it. Where are those problems happening? Places where there have always been problems. 500 riots in Minnesota, in that area, before. This is what they use for public opinion. They want these things. This is propaganda. They happen in Minnesota. They happen in Oregon. They happen in Washington. These states are just nuts. California. You don't see this stuff happening in the Midwest too much, where people work for a living and stuff, and people are normal, and they're not crazy, and it's still a small percentage. I mean, you've got all these issues that they're in favor of. Think about it. The Democrats are in favor of, they're pro-criminal, anti-justice. Anybody that puts anybody in jail can't stay on the bench. And they're anti-border. They don't want a country. If we have no borders, we have no country. I mean, that's just a reality. If we don't have sovereign borders, we're not a sovereign nation. And remember, Obama deported millions of them. Nobody said a damn thing. And the ones he deported had a lot more time invested into this country than these rapists and criminals. Some of them were just illegal and they should have been deported, but he deported a whole bunch of them. But this is the Democrats. Yeah, Jeff, we're going to bring the popcorn. We're going to see what happens because, hey, this is the beginning. It's January. Now we'll see the new city council. We're going to see the new school committee. And, a lot of them wrote checks. Now we're going to see with their mouth. Let's see if their ass can cash it.
I'm looking for, right now, is citizens input over in the school committee. You have a parent that just read in the riot act about wasting money.
Yeah.
Nothing new for the school department.
Good. And like I said, at least we have people there who are going to be able to speak from a position. I want to listen to the soliloquy that Tommy Corey goes into when people start opposing this just blatant giving away all the money. If Ann Riley, he should keep his mouth shut. She's run a school. You can't tell her, hey, you don't know what you're talking about, lady, because you don't know how complicated this is. Well, she goes, yes, I do. I'm a superintendent. And I've been in education my whole life. And what were you? A music teacher. Shut up. So, yes. Well, that's the truth. That's what she should say.
I know.
But it's like, okay, that's like the PFC telling the general what to do. But it's going to be interesting to see because you got people on that committee now that supposedly, I know that Manny ran on accountability, and like I said, let's fasten our seatbelts and let's see what happens. And we've got this incident and this investigation. Let's see what happens to that principal. Let's see what happens.
You and I both know probably nothing.
If that allegation is true. Look, we're not saying it's true, but we had it in writing. We showed it to we read it. It's pretty serious. And what's more serious is the cover-up. Bad enough that he stole Christmas toys, which really got me, but the Christmas toys, but then he stole money from the PTO. And they covered it up. It's like, okay, here's a payment plan. I wonder if the Somalis, maybe that'll give Tampon Tim an idea. maybe he'll set up a payment plan for the Somalis that embezzle, that fraudulently got, I think it's even above 9 billion now. They think of like closer to 18 billion because they're looking at the other avenues of fraud besides just daycares. But problem is, I don't think they're going to be able to pay it back, Tim, because the stats say that 81% of the Somalis up there are on welfare. So I don't know. They're going to pay us with our own money.
You've got students talking about a Mr. Medeiros. I don't know who that is. I can barely hear the whole thing, saying that their education is being impaired because of the lack of Mr. Medeiros. So I don't know if Mr. Medeiros died or got fired or what happened, but.
Well, yeah, I don't know who Mr. Medeiros is. We'll have to check into that. There's a lot of Medeiroses in this city.
Yeah.
You're not narrowing the field by saying Mr. Medeiros.
Right.
It's like saying Mr. Ferry or Mr. Camara. There's a few of it. There's a few in this city. I don't know what they're talking about. It's specific. But in all due respect, they're venting, and they should. They have a right to speak. And they should be able to talk about anything. But remember, this is a brand new school committee. Present them the information and let's see what they do with it. I'm an advocate of giving them a chance to see what they do. Apparently, another scandal. What a surprise, Jeff, huh? Another scandal. God, if I had hair, it would fall out. I'd be so surprised. I'm telling you. Another scandal in the school department. What a surprise. I don't know. It's crazy. But we'll sit down tonight and, turn on the TV and see what kind of craziness there is. But you notice they've backed off a little bit on the narrative. There's too much video about, this person was not Mother Teresa. She was part of a group and she was there. They had video. And so, but let's look at what it's about. They're not going to stop. They're getting paid to do it. And this is what George Floyd tipped an election, and they're going to try the same tactic. They're going to riot in the streets and cause all kinds of chaos. And the sad part about it is we have people who swore an oath to uphold the Constitution and have badges. And I don't care how much you dislike ICE. You can stand out along the roadside and call them every name in the book. You can't throw bricks at them and try to kill them and chant "kill them." You don't like them, don't like them. You don't like them, it's okay. I mean, there are people who are rooting against the Patriots last night. So you can't. What are you going to do? Are you going to throw bricks at them? Oh, wait a minute. You probably would. I'm not going to say that, but I retract that. But yeah, there's always another scandal, and the sad part about it is, Jeff, we never find out what the scandals are unless somebody makes it public, because they're going to bury the thing. Hopefully, this school committee won't. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the rules only apply to non-Democrats. The Democrats can violate anything. All they yell about is January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, and they have over 500 more riots where people died, and then they cry about January 6th, and the only person that was killed at January 6th was an unarmed. That's the irony. An unarmed woman, United States citizen, veteran, was shot by a coward from Capitol Police hiding behind the wall. She was 10, 15 feet away from him. He hid behind the wall. He shot an unarmed woman. There was no threat to him at all. He'd already been disciplined for improper use of his firearm before. But this is why I hate Democrats. What did the Democrats? Nobody ever mentions that woman. What did they do to him? They gave him a medal. They gave him a medal. They're not going to give that ICE agent a medal. They want him dead. They want him prosecuted. They want him in jail. They want him anything. And somebody was trying to run him, and someone was coming at him with a car. But nobody cares about the unarmed woman, veteran, United States citizen. Yeah, she was there and trespassing. But talk about improper use of deadly force. You're going to shoot some unarmed woman for trespassing, and then somebody's running at you with a car, but you don't shoot them? Yeah, we heard, James. That fire station's a waste of money. And I'll give Chris some advice, because I know he watches the show sometime. I don't
James,
know.
if you had been reading the Weekend Flush, you would have known.
Yeah. Hello, Adeline. I'll give him 25, 30 years ago, I proposed a plan to the city of Fall River to build 3 fire stations, triangulated, for response time. That triangulation was on a computer program by the International Association of Firefighters to allow us to actually reduce the number of fire stations, increase the number of men on the apparatus, and stay within National Fire Protection Association run times to protect the city at a lower cost and more effectively. And you know what that thing is? Who knows? You know what they did with it? I gave it to the city council. I made a presentation. Yep, yeah, see you later. Have a nice day. 30 years later, they build fire stations wherever they want. Now they want to do it. That's going to be a decorative fire station. Gravity works. They're going downhill from Stanley Street. They will be on the Wall corridor very quickly from the nearest station. They will be within
the headquarters station. Don't forget the central station.
Well, I'm going to give you another example. Remember they bought a fireboat?
Yeah.
And that cost what? I forgot the astronomical number that cost the city. Remember that big discussion?
Yes, I remember it.
Okay. Well, I want to ask one question. I was opposed to buying a fireboat because I knew that we didn't need the USS Minnow protecting the Taunton River, because we don't have a lot of waterfront fires. So the SSS Minnow, and how many times has that fireboat been used to fight a fire?
I don't even know if it's been used at all yet.
I don't think it's been used ever. No, you're right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. They, of course they don't do stupid shit. No, they throw bricks at people. They chant, kill them, and spin on people who are law enforcement officers. And then the next thing out of their mouth is, we're in a democracy. I get to ignore the law. Well, that's not a ordered society. You're supposed to, as I said at the beginning of the show, what Martin Luther King said, you want to disobey a law, you have to be willing to go to jail. There are people who did that. Remember that. Gandhi, Mandela. How long did Mandela stay in prison for fighting apartheid in South Africa?
Years.
Decades.
Yep.
He was in prison in South Africa for decades. This is what you're supposed to do. But the Democrats are using human shields and human projectiles so they can get into power. They're telling their people, go get killed for us. We're going to make you a martyr. But once we get power, think about it. Show me one person who got the power doing that didn't become a dictator. Stalin, Castro, Mao Zedong, every one of them. Yeah, 27. I know decades. I know it was. Yeah, no, you're right. And Mandela did it the way a true, and Martin Luther King was willing to go to jail. He said, disobey the law and obey the law, the good laws, and disobey the bad laws lovingly. Don't go try to kill people. Prove your point. Prove you're willing to sacrifice. Don't sacrifice yourself by getting shot so you can be on a media and give them 30 seconds of fame and 6 months of riots so they can get into office. Do it the right way. I mean, it's kind of logical. I just don't understand. But I don't know. Maybe Democrats have to get a lobotomy before you get into the party. I don't know now. Maybe they require you getting they got a giant needle they stick in your ear and suck your brain out. I don't know. Well, yeah, think about it, CJ. What they did doesn't make any sense.
I'm not arguing.
It's not logical.
No,
you think I'm an independent, but you think if I was a Democrat or a Republican and somebody told me, go get shot so you can be on the news and we can riot for the next 6 months, I'll say, no, I got a better idea. You go get shot. And I'll go to the funeral. Nitwit. I'll protest. I'll yell at them. I'll call them. Nobody's fought the city more than me, but I wasn't in there with a shotgun. We walked up and down through the mayor's office for an hour one time with 175 firefighters picketing, but we didn't hurt anybody. We kept moving, and we did it in accordance with the law. We peacefully protested. That's what you're supposed to do, and they have every right to do that. They can stand there and yell at them and call them anything they want to do, but they don't have the right to injure people. Because now they're bringing it on because they have to defend themselves. Well, the Democrats have raised it to an art form. There are other people who are, but most of the Republicans are not in favor of.
I don't call them Democrats anymore. They're technocrats.
I call them Democrats.
Well, they're Democrats too.
Democrats, like I said, I still want to see the needle they use. They can get it out without killing them, suck their brain completely out without killing them. So
that's true. It's always something. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you again on Wednesday. Have a great day and take care.